guys don't know who Roger Will is, he's straight from Rhode Island. He just moved out here about a year ago. But let's get to know you, dog. Like, I know I was listening to one of your music up here. You said you were balling with John Hope out there with L. So you're straight from Rhode Island.
Yeah.
What part of Rhode Island? Tell me about yourself. Like, where did you grow up in Rhode Island?
Providence.
What
Born
part
and
of
raised Providence, Rhode Island. I grew up in the Silver Lake area. Shout out to my other Silver Lake members, Big Rude Boy. What up?
Shout outs to Rude Boy, for sure.
Yeah,
definitely,
we grew up in the same neighborhood. So yeah, I was like right on the line of like the West End and Silver Lake, where like Union Ave is.
Yeah.
So that's like, you know where Flats Park is?
Flats Park? Nah, I don't really make my way over to Silver Lake.
Yeah.
You know
So
what I'm saying?
Silver Lake, Providence, Rhode Island.
Shout out to y'all. Shout out to Southside though. You know what I'm saying? Gotta plug that in. But yo, so you moved out to LA.
Yeah.
Last year. You said April.
Yeah.
Tell me about that transition. What brought you out here, and what's been going on since you made it out here?
So LA's always been a plan of mine. I actually had wanted to move to LA like years before I actually moved. So this is something I kind of had in motion because I got a degree in film and I did photography. So it was like I was trying to merge my music and film career, and where better else to be than LA. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So I had planned it originally probably 3 years ago. So I started saving, and then I was making plans to make moves, and it's like I realized at some point that it wasn't the amount that I was going to save, it was the leap of faith that was really going to get me here. It wasn't the money, it was going to be the leap of faith. You know
okay, yeah, definitely.
So it was like anytime you try to save for a certain amount, you'll always have setbacks at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like you'll never actually get where you want to go because you'll get X amount of dollars, then your car will break down. Then you know what I mean?
You know
like,
how life is.
You'll get a ticket. You'll sprain your ankle and get a hospital bill. There's always something that's gonna try to set you back.
Yeah.
So it was like I got to a point where I was just like, man, fuck that.
Out.
I don't care what I got in the bank account. I'm going, because if I don't go now, I'm just not gonna go.
So with this transition over to LA, some of the good and the bad that you've faced, I know we're just talking about that, but just to give my Rhode Island people or our Rhode Island people that mentality, and definitely when it comes to like your artistry and like, you know, just putting yourself out there in that field, like what some of the good, the bad, the experience that you had thus far.
Well, basically, you're always gonna have, in LA, it's like living in any big city. So there's going to be expenses that you have to pay. Like it could be some parking tickets, because parking enforcement out here is
crazy, man. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Like today, me and Bongo was at the barbershop.
Yep.
And I knew street cleaning was at 12, so I was like, we gotta make sure your haircut is done before 12, so I can get back to my car.
Yeah.
Because they'll be on you at 12:01. They'll be there behind the car putting in the ticket.
Yeah, I peeped them. They're doing their job out here for sure.
So you gotta obviously try to be smart with your money, because somehow you're gonna have to spend money. Rent's more expensive, gas is more expensive, groceries are more expensive, everything's more expensive. So you got to be kind of conscious of how you spend. But the pros are all the opportunity, because it's opportunities that you'll never have in Rhode Island. Because we talked about this before the interview started, but you kind of have a glass ceiling in Rhode Island as far as like how far you can make it within the entertainment business.
Yeah.
There is like some films coming over, and you know, every now and then you'll get like a big movie that's coming. You can play like an extra in the film or something like that,
which is dope. That's a good experience.
But that's like, it's just a good experience.
It's
not
really
a career.
Put you out there.
Yeah. So it's like,
forward.
If you come to LA, it's like the limit is beyond the sky, because you have everything that you need right here. You have all the resources that you need right here. You have all the people that you need to meet right here. And if people don't live in LA, they're coming to LA to work. Yeah. So you can still network with them at some point. You know what I mean? And kind of establish a relationship with them.
Definitely.
And keep that connection, because they're going to come back. Yeah. Everybody comes to LA.
Yeah. And plus it's a small world. So once you get out here and the market's so much bigger, so many people like crossing over, it's definitely a lot more beneficial than RI. But you know, I love Rhode Island for what it is.
I mean, I'm an East Coast baby at heart. Like
For sure.
I love where I'm from. You know what I mean? I always rep where I'm from, so that's never gonna change.
I know you still got the RI license plates.
Still got. A year later, still got my Rhode Island license plates on the car.
You already know, but you know, no potholes out here. No potholes. I haven't seen any.
No,
It's
shit
crazy.
is smooth sailing.
Smooth sailing. Not like RI where you're like, you have to. It's terrible, man. I love it. I'm feeling it. But what was the last piece of work that you put out, like officially? Because I know you've been like releasing a lot of tracks here and there, but when was like the last project that you put out there?
It was an album called Listen to Roger.
Okay.
It was just a self-titled album. I was really kind of just trying to tell my story, like introduce myself to the world. Yeah,
definitely. And tell me about how that came together. I know that was back 2013, correct?
Yeah.
Tell me about how that came together. I know you were working with a lot of people on the project. Have you achieved the success that you wanted with that EP? Just tell me a little bit about that project altogether.
So that project was something that I actually worked on for almost 3 years.
Okay.
So some of the songs are actually like 4 and 5 years old.
Yeah.
Or they were 2 years old at the time that I released them because we were working on it for so long. But I worked with mainly one producer, Alxndr, the drum god. He did, I want to say like 85% of the production on the album. I also had Crew Alxndr who produced on the album.
Shout out to Crew.
My homie TEP from Virginia, he produced on the album. And LJC, I think LJC had a joint on there. And John Skino.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who just did, just put out Hard Liquor, right?
Yeah, Hard Liquor.
Yeah. Shout outs to them. But, one of my favorite tracks on there, I really like the introduction. Just for what it was, you know what I'm saying? That introduction into the whole piece. And there's a lot of messages that you're trying to deliver as not just an artist, but just a person.
Yeah, as a man.
Tell me about like some of those experiences that you went through and how they were portrayed in Listen to Roger, the EP.
So, I mean, I'm one of those artists that kind of draw from my own story and my own experiences. And that song that you're referring to is the intro on the album. And it's kind of like, it almost gives you, if you listen to it, it's the birth of Roger.
Okay.
And then the current state of where Roger is at the time. So it's like, within that time, you have a 3 or 4 minute period where I just give you some of the dark experiences that I had and then some of the light experiences to get you to see where my mental state was at before we get into that album. So it's like you got to see that I had issues with my father who was never around, who kind of left when I was early. And then I had issues with loyalty, friends, girls, love.
Yeah.
But then you also got to see that I was a loyal person and I've been down with the same crew.
For sure.
Since day one. You know what I mean? It's the same couple guys that I've been rocking with and making music with since day one. So you got to see Roger as somebody who was humble, but also had been through some dark times in his life. Definitely. But someone who took those dark times and turned it into some light.
You know, who's on that's speaking to you on the track? They're like, yo, like, you're about to go into you're about to chase your dreams basically, and all the experiences that you go through. Like, that part was dope, because when I was listening to that coming out here to LA, I was like, yo, this is like real stuff, and like that's what I live by. But who was on that? I'm just
That's
wondering.
Actually my ex-girlfriend's mother.
Oh, your ex-girlfriend's mother. How did she get caught up in the project?
When the album was coming out, I was really close with her, and she was kind of one of those few people that are always just telling me to continue to pursue my dreams, and how like life as an artist is probably one of the toughest careers to pursue, because it's like you're drawing from nothing. You're coming from nothing, and you have to get the world to embrace you, and sometimes you hit a lot of bumps in the road, you know what I mean? Sometimes you get to a fork in the road and you take the wrong turn. So she was just kind of like encouraging me to follow my dreams, knowing that the voice I have and the message that I have would be great for the world to hear, you know what I mean? It would inspire the world. Yeah,
which definitely, like I said, when I was listening, I was like, yo, this is pretty dope.
Yeah, it gives you like chills.
It really does. Definitely, it really does. So shout out to Your ex-girl's mom. Shoutouts to Helen, for sure. Another track I like is Sticks and Stones.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But what are some of the gems to you? You know, what are some of the gems? Like, I know overall, like, everyone's like, yo, I love the whole project. I like every single song. But, you know, there has to be some tracks that are a lot more meaningful to you on there. Like, what are some of your favorites?
Oh, Sticks and Stones is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Sticks and Stones is produced by Bongo the Drum God.
Okay.
And that was, to me, honestly, when I wrote Sticks and Stones was when I felt like I found my direction for the album. So I already had like other joints that we wrote and did, and, and some stuff didn't make the album. But when I did Sticks and Stones, I was like, okay, this is the direction right
Okay,
here.
yeah.
Like, this is the story, this is the message, this is it.
Yeah.
So like I was like in love with that song for
sure,
the
for
longest
sure.
time.
Yep.
I was like, this is great. Ain't no one messing with this. But other songs that I really love is I Wish. That one's really close to my heart. The intro is very close to me. And then Talk to You.
Okay.
Talk to You is one of my favorite songs.
For what reason is that one?
Well, that one's the most personal song on the album. Well, one of the most personal songs. So that song is dedicated to 3 different people. The first verse is dedicated to my mother. The second verse is dedicated to LJC, who's a producer, singer, and also one of my best friends.
Yep.
And the last one is dedicated to John Hope, who's also one of my best friends.
Super dope. Super dope.